Hi, hello.
Hello. I was wondering, my name is Ariza, by the way. As a fellow European, I was asking, don't you think that there's a better way to establish democracy? Like, do you really think that America is the best democracy that we've ever had?
In the history of human civilization, yes.
But something like, I don't know, like Scandinavian countries maybe, don't you think that they have better type of democracy than we do?
Yeah, people sometimes say this, and I think that I mean, Norway, for instance, doesn't really have an economy because there's such abundant natural resources. It doesn't make much sense to praise them in economic terms. But these countries are socialist. These are countries where there are higher property taxes for houses that have sea views. These are countries that control every aspect of your life and will excise you from public service and from the public square if you don't subscribe to a narrow set of allowable opinions. The reason Sweden, which is often held up as an example of good governance in a well-ordered country, as I think your question was suggesting. I mean, it is only a democracy just about, vaguely. It's technically a democracy. But in Sweden, the reason this country's got itself into so much trouble, the reason Sweden has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of immigrants that it cannot cope with, is the stultifying political correctness that takes hold in socialist countries. And the fact that if you are a Swede, and you, until very, very recently, and even now if you work in the arts or anywhere, if you even broached the subject of immigration, you would be castigated as a racist, fired from your job, and cast out of polite society. It's difficult for me, hearing people praise these supposedly wonderful Scandinavian nations, to look out on them and to look at the narrow range of acceptable opinions when you compare it to somewhere like America, and praise them in any way whatsoever. So I have to tell you no. I can't think of a better example than America of a country that is still, by and large, pretty free. Scandinavia is in a real mess, and it's in a real mess precisely because it has not. Its voters haven't voted for freedom; they voted for stultifying control from their governments. There was probably a little while when Scandinavian countries were doing okay, but they're not anymore. And America, by and large, is still all right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening, Milo.
Hi.
One of your many appealing qualities is how...
Do go on.
Is how incredibly researched you all are in all of your viewpoints, how you back up everything you say with facts and studies.
I try.
There's
a butt coming, isn't there? Can you hear it?
Yeah, there are many figures that do have contrasting viewpoints that you do. Sam Harris, John Oliver,
yeah.
A vertically challenged man named Ben Shapiro. So my question is, what current political figures or other advocates out there that do have contrasting viewpoints from you that you respect as being credible?
Well, the problem is there aren't very many clever lefties left, you know? They've sort of forgotten how to argue over the last 30 years. I mean, it's difficult. One of the reasons there's so much political tension in this country is people talk past each other. The right tends to talk with reason, logic, facts, and history, and the left tends to talk with feelings, grievance, and victimhood. These are different languages. It's like trying to dance about architecture. I mean, it's like, there's so little that these people have in common that it's very difficult to sort of say, well, I just don't respect that vision of the universe. I don't respect a model of politics or of social policy or of anything else that is based on feelings instead of facts. I don't respect the point of view that privileges subjective grievance-mongering and the indulgence of victimhood, conspiracy theories, fake history, and name-calling and language policing. And these are not just the tools, but also the philosophies of the left. I don't respect them. I don't respect any of them. And there are people that I disagree. I mean, people that I love and admire, like Christopher Hitchens. I don't agree with him on anything. I wish he'd never written the book about God. I think this is by far his worst book, second only to his terrible book about Mother Teresa. There are people I admire hugely. I don't agree with on everything. But if you're asking me if there's somebody really on the other side of the political divide who I think is great, I really don't. I mean, look at the quality that you have on the right. I mean, we joke about Ben, but you know, Ben is one of the sharpest minds in media in this country. He's an incredibly fucking smart guy. Really fucked it up with Trump, and now his career's gone. But but he's a very smart man. You know, we don't agree on everything. You know, but where's the Ben Shapiro of the left? Where's the Milo of the left? Where's the you know, where are any, you know, if you, the intellectual titans? Where's the, you know, the Thomas Sowell of the left? They don't have them. They just don't. And that wasn't always the case. But I can't honestly tell you, and I wish this were different, because we are at our best when we have strong adversaries, when we have opponents who are at the height of their powers, because it keeps you honest, keeps you on your toes, makes you the best that you can be. But I'm getting really lazy, because there just aren't enough good people on the left anymore. There's a real problem with talent on the left. You know, I see a lot of young Republican, you know, gifted writers, artists, musicians. Nobody will give them the time of day because they have the wrong politics. The left has the opposite problem. It has odious, untalented people like Amy Schumer and Lena Dunham, who we are required to love, though they have no redeeming qualities whatsoever and nothing interesting to say about anything. And the left has a real talent problem. So I'm waffling because I don't know. I can't answer your question. Sorry.
Hi, Milo. Thanks
Hi.
for coming.
Thank
you. I heard you and Martin Shkreli were considering buying 4chan.
Well, not together, but I think we've both expressed interest in it.
So how do you feel about Shkreli? And if you buy 4chan, are you going to place ads to monetize it? Because some users are concerned that advertisers will lead to censorship.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you merely plan on being 4chan's sugar daddy?
This is the problem of being gay and getting to 30. You have to start becoming the sugar daddy. And so you're on dates, and you notice that people are kind of pulling the same tricks you used to when the check arrives. They kind of go like this, you know. And it's like, fuck, I used to do that when I was thinner. I think the only way that it would work for me, as I think you've probably read, I do have somebody who's interested in funding it. Funding my purchase of it. My philosophy of 4chan, which is a delicate, fragile subculture on the internet, which has very, very wonderful things and very, very terrible things. But you don't get the very wonderful things without the terrible things. It is really, truly free speech central. The only way that it would work for me is if I could come to an agreed purchase price with him, and that I had for at least the foreseeable future whatever it costs to run, guaranteed, so that I don't have to advertise on it at all.
Thank you very much.
Does not a huge amount to run. I think somebody estimated it was about $6,000 or $7,000 a month. I mean, you know.
Hi, Milo.
Hi.
So my question is kind of looking forward past this election. If God forbid Trump doesn't win, and we are forced to succumb to the scourge that is globalism, what do we do moving forward?
Oh, I don't know. No, this is why it's so important that you all fucking vote for him, because you're done. You're done. What Hillary Clinton's going to do to schools, you know, Title IX is nothing compared to what's coming. What she's going to do to the police, pandering to Black Lives Matter, pandering to this organization that celebrates the death of police officers, the passes she gives them and that all of the people around her give them. It's disgusting. It's morally abhorrent. To say nothing of the serious stuff that's going to happen in the Supreme Court. And I gave a talk last night about ICANN, which is a much more technical subject, but the control of the internet that America has always kept so free, has always been so great, that is being handed off to Syria and Russia and China. I think if Trump doesn't win this election, you know, he's going to... Look, I'm under no illusions. It's going to be a colorful White House. But with Hillary Clinton in it, you don't have a country anymore. You don't really have America anymore, because the erosion of protections, the First and Second Amendment, in my view, will be irreversible. And what she'll do to the Supreme Court, which is, as I say, the only thing that matters, will be irreversible for generations. It's not just about what she can do in 4 years, it's about what they will do in 20. So I don't know. I quake. I quake to imagine a world in 20 years' time with a weak and divided and broken America, with China and Russia on the rise. I don't think you have any option but to elect him.
Thank you.
Hello?
Hi, so my question is, with so many sources reporting that net immigration from Mexico is at zero, or at least very close to zero, why is it that so many people, including Trump, are making such a big deal out of it?
Well, the best explanation of this that I've heard is we do know, for instance, that the murders in some states are, 30% of the murders are committed by illegal aliens. We do know that huge percentages of really very serious crimes are committed by people who don't have any right to be here. And I don't know that it's so much for Trump or for me a question of net migration. It's not really about numbers. It's about who you want in. Nobody is suggesting that America should close its borders. I wouldn't advise that as a sort of observer from Europe, and I don't think anybody in America wants that.
Isn't that what Trump's plan is with the wall, is to close that border?
Well, I think he wants to secure the border so that he can decide who America lets in and who it doesn't. If net migration from Mexico is zero, it might be in America's interest that it stays zero forever, because it might be better to get doctors and lawyers and accountants and teachers from Australia or from the UK or from Canada. What's happening at the moment is that pretty much anybody can sneak in if they're persistent enough, and you've got people committing horrendous crimes who just shouldn't be here at all. And for me, I'm a fan of the Australian point system, which, if you don't know what that means, it's sort of basically Australia decides every year, like, what do we need, right? We're short on doctors, we've got tons of teachers, so we're not going to let teachers in. We're short on doctors, we're short on, I don't know, plumbers even. So they just allocate that number of people, and they come in, they pay taxes, all the rest of it. But the border is rock solid secure. And nobody calls Australia racist. They just get in what the country needs. This country, America, is the country that everybody wants to go to. It is the country everybody wants to get to. And you're sort of insulated from a lot of the worst migration because you're not contiguous with Africa or the Middle East. Because if you were, you'd be in the position Germany is in. But there's nothing wrong and nothing racist with saying, well, here's a country we have, we're short on this stuff, we've got too much of this stuff, and here's a bunch of crime, so here's what we're going to do to resolve that situation. For me, I don't think, putting a halt to Muslim immigration, as a gay man, I'm quite comfortable with that. Building a wall in Mexico, on the border with Mexico, to make sure that anybody who comes in or goes out is supposed to be doing that and is entitled to do so, doesn't strike me as a problem. And having a system where a country like America that everybody wants to get to, because it is the best country, gets to choose who it takes. I mean, you have a choice. You're not under some moral obligation to provide a home and pay for the families of people who don't belong here, who just happen to share a border with you. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You are under a moral obligation to look after the people who already live here. And if they need doctors, get them from wherever the best doctors are. And if the best doctors are in Mexico City, get them from there. They're probably not. But if they are, they're probably not, then take them from there. If, on the other hand, they're in Germany or the UK or Australia, take them from there. You have a choice. You're America. You don't just have to accept whatever bleeds over the border because you can't police your own country properly. And that, as far as I read it, as I understand it, is all that Trump's proposing. And I don't know that net migration from Mexico is hugely relevant to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening. It's been a more serious talk than normal. It's a very serious subject, and I was told that Vanderbilt was one of those schools where people would like to hear something a bit meatier. So thank you very much for listening to me. If you want to come and say hi afterwards, I think somebody will tell you when and where that's going to happen. But thank you very much for having me. Cheers.